Okay.
No.
And I don't know if you said something before, but I lost you for
Oh, I said
around
that
20, 30
we do have
seconds.
a problem. We do have a current problem with the Teams recording, but we're working on this on this side.
No, for me it's okay. If you,
Oh, can you access it now?
I don't know if I can access. I prefer not to have recordings at all, but this is your decision. But I see it's recording now.
Yeah, it is recording now, but the files are not visible on the links that we have. Never mind.
No.
This is something. This is something that we work with Microsoft on. So hopefully it'll be resolved as soon as possible. So no worries about this. All right. Back to our business. Back to our business. Hopefully you had a good lunch. Not too heavy, because we do have 3 more hours to spend together.
Of cryptography.
Yeah, cryptography, that's a big one. But assuming that we got this initial understanding of the objectives of cryptography and the components of cryptography, we now know better how to approach all the other materials in the book and in CISSP in general. And hopefully from here and onward, it'll be quicker and easier for us to process the information. So as long as we get the understanding of cryptography, the stepping stones of cryptography, plain text all the way to ciphertext and vice versa, and the terms of a key and method and block sizes, as long as we understand this, I think we're in the safe zone of covering cryptography in domain 3, and everything else will probably fall into place pretty quickly. So let's continue. There are some terms and phrases that we need to get familiarized with on cryptography and in domain 3 in general. The first one, and you can get a question on each one of them, okay? There can be a question of what is the best or easiest example of challenge response protocol. Okay, so challenge response protocol means that I ask you something, I challenge you with something, and then whatever you respond is my way of knowing whether to proceed with you or not. Challenge response protocol, the easiest way to explain challenge response, talk about password. Okay, you're being asked for your password or the organizational password. Then you provide the password, and then you can move on. You can continue to the next level. This codes versus ciphers. So codes are not ciphers. Okay, codes are a system of symbols. Think of the traffic lights or traffic symbols that you have out there in the streets. Those are pretty easy to understand if you're familiar with the way the streets work. Okay, so if you're familiar with the environment, it's easy, relatively easy to understand the codes. Okay, so but if you take someone that lives in somewhere remote in the world where there are no roads, no traffic signs, and you put them in the middle of the Manhattan and you ask them, what does this sign mean? They will not know because they're not from the environment. They're not familiar with the system. Okay, so codes are pretty easy to understand once you're familiar with the system. Cipher are those hidden messages within, a global message or generic message that everybody can understand. And for this example, I direct you to Disney movies. So when they ask you about ciphers, you think Disney. And why Disney? Because in each Disney movie, in every Disney movie, you will find the hidden message of the logo of Disney. And what is the logo of Disney? It's Mickey Mouse, right? The big circle and the two little circles of the ears, right? So in every Disney movie, you will find this hidden message, okay? So they publish themselves, much like watching the Avengers movie, Marvel movies. Are you familiar with these movies? Marvel movies are big, right? In every Marvel movie, you will find, what can you find in every Marvel movie? Stan Lee. Stan Lee is the writer of all Marvel movies, is the creator of all Marvel movies, and you can find him, his character, he's actually acting in all Marvel movies. However, he passed away not long ago, and then all future movies, they're talking about putting Stan Lee's figure in them, create his image from previous movies to adapt to that movie. So they want to continue that heritage of getting Stan Lee on the set, even though he passed away. So those are the ciphers. Ciphers are hidden meaning of a message. Okay. One-time pad means that it's basically what this is. It's a code that we use one time, and it's a code as a key for cryptography. Okay, so today, this morning, we use this code. Tomorrow, we're going to use different code. And we mentioned that before when we saw the word secure and the different codes, different system that we use that code for. Zero knowledge proof is really asking a question, a user, and judging whether we should continue with them based on their reaction. There is no information transfer between A and B. It's just, adding behavioral, much like the password, much like the challenge response. So it's adding behavioral component to the whole trust building between A and B. Okay, so for example, user can be asked, you're in this junction, there's supposed to be a decision made here. Which path will you take? Will it be A or B? And that specific user, if it's the right user that we would like to speak to and transfer the hidden message, and transfer the key and the hidden message and all that, so to start communicating securely, that user knows to choose A or B from the two. Okay, so that's not really transferring any information. It's more judging whether to continue with that user based on their behavior or not. Okay, whether this channel was tampered with or not. Split knowledge is another term that we need to get familiarized with. Split knowledge helps us to better protect our keys. Okay, we will talk about private key and public key pretty soon, but know that whenever we want to keep our key, we want to split that key between more than one person, more than one entity. The reason behind it is that if that key gets compromised and one person holds it, then the whole process of encryption is getting compromised. Now, it's easy for us to talk about key that got compromised between me, Chen, and you all, but if you are my clients, and I am, for that matter, Citigroup, right, Citibank, and you all have an account with me, you don't want my key to be compromised before I communicate with you. That's why we split the key between more than one party. 2, 3, and so on and so forth. The picture here can give you the idea of what is split knowledge. This is a picture of an atomic silo. Okay, there's a nuclear missile there, and you need two people with each one of them holds a different key to push in their key and switch it on together in order to launch that missile. So no single point of failure in that matter. Is this okay? Is this clear? Pretty straightforward, right? That's not too complicated. Now, let's talk a little bit about cryptography, symmetric versus asymmetric. The terms that we need to remember here, symmetric uses secret key, one secret key, or a single key for one channel of communication. The asymmetric uses public key, and for that public key, we need a pair called private key, and for each individual, we have a different private key. That makes asymmetric encryption harder to break, but much slower to execute. To add more security to that process of encryption, we add hash. Hash is a one-way function. It's a mathematical function. There's no encryption in hash. It's just another function to strengthen the mechanism of cryptography. So basically, we talk about symmetric and asymmetric crypto systems. Okay? Again, symmetric is very easy to execute. It's very light, very quick. Okay? But there's the downside that it's pretty hackable. Okay? It's pretty easy, relatively easy to break. So once you break the crypto system and you have that one key, now all the crypto system is now compromised. Not the same way with asymmetric crypto system. When in asymmetric, you need to break every channel of its own. You need to get a hold of the private key of each host. Okay? And that one takes more time to hack. However, it takes more time to encrypt as well. So slow encryption is asymmetric, quick encryption, symmetric. Weak encryption, symmetric, strong encryption, asymmetric. Okay, we'll get back to this later on, but just to get to the hang of it. Now, we mentioned the hash function. Hash function, again, it's not a cryptographic mechanism. This is simply a function, a mathematical function that helps us increase security in our crypto system. Okay, so there's no key here. There's only the method. Okay, we do not exchange keys because there's no decipher. Okay, there's no decryption mechanism. All we want to do is compare the hash result between the first message and the last message to know that no one tampered with our message. Okay, and the way we do it, this is basically contributing to the integrity of the message. So remember the CI, authentication and non-repudiation. So this is the I. Okay, with the hash function, we get the integrity. So hash function has its weaknesses, and the weaknesses says that no matter what you enter the function, for example, if you enter the word password into a hash function of MD5, for example, the result will always be the same. Okay, since the result is always the same, this now creates repetition. All right, do you remember that weak spot that we had back then at the beginning? Repetition affects badly the encryption mechanism, okay, the cryptography mechanism. So if in hash function I always get the same result, there can be, and there are, tables out there online that will give me the input without knowing the full process of the function, but will give me the input versus the output. So if the output of a hash function is 12, I can look at the table that is published on Google, right? You can Google it now. You can write MD5 tables or rainbow tables. You can get the number 12 to equal an input of the word password, okay? And that makes your encryption weak, because if I can get your hash function decrypted or undo, then that means that I can weaken your cryptography mechanism, because you use your cryptography, you use hash to strengthen your cryptography mechanism. If I remove your hash, now I can tamper with your integrity. Now I can tamper with your message. I can add information to it. Okay. So what do we do against these birthday attacks? Birthday attacks is it's based on the fact that if you take 32 people, put them in one room, and you go one by one and ask them for the day and month, not a year of birthday, day and month. With 32 people, chances are that 2 people in the room will have birthday on the same day and month. Not the same year, but the same day and month. Okay, so on that concept, we take the birthday attack on the hash. We say, okay, what is most likely? If I take enough results of hash, okay, I can probably figure out the way, the input that was entered before I got the result from the function, okay? So that's the idea of birthday attack. So again, looking at the hash function is a mathematical function one way. We put in the word password. At the end, there's a result, and we call that result the number 12 or the number 250. Okay? Whatever the result is, that result should be the same on the sender and the receiver side to make sure that the information was not tampered. Because if the information was tampered, the message was open in the middle, something was added, then again the hash function, will result a different result. It will no longer be 250, it will be 814, for example. Okay, so different hash result means that someone or something tampered with the information and tried to make it look the same. Okay, so what do we say about hash? Hash should be collision free, right? I should have only one result for the hash. Hash should be one way. Hash should be fixed length output, and also allow input of any length input. Okay, the output is fixed, the input can be any length. That's what we want to think about the hash, but it has its weaknesses. Okay, and we will talk about its weaknesses in the resolution shortly. But before this, I put here in the box in your presentation, as you can see, the top 4 hash functions that CISSP will ask about. Okay, they will mainly ask about MD5 hash function, SHA-1, 2, and 3, and they will ask to what size of the fixed output of those hash functions. And what you need to remember is that for MD5 is 128, and then 160 for SHA-1, SHA-2 and 3 are 512. You need to remember those numbers, okay? It's not a whiteboard yet, but it's something that you want to remember because this might be a question in your CISSP, all right? So how do we solve that problem that we have with hash that makes it so easy, relatively easy, if we go to Google and use those rainbow tables, and we'll use the birthday attack against the hash. What can we do against it? So here's an idea that came up a few years ago, it's called salted hash. So we take the same hash, the same function, and then we increase entropy. Okay, we increase randomization. So the hash has its weakness that is embedded in the way we work with it. It's that repetition that we see. So for that one, we will want to add more randomization. The randomization part means that once you get the output of that hash function, you add a random characters, set characters, 6, 8, 10, 20 characters, random characters, can be letters, can be numbers, can be anything that is acceptable by the hash function, and then rerun it again. All right? So get the function hash function result, add that random characters, which we call salt, all right? And then you get a different outcome every time you run that hash function. With the same input, you will get a different output. So if both the sender and the receiver agree on that salt message today and tomorrow, this now becomes a key. Okay, so the salt that we add to a hash function is almost like a key. Okay, it's not a key. We don't have a key in a hash function. I don't want you to think of it as a key. I don't want you to go into the exam and say, hey, CISSP, I know that for hash function, we have a key, it's called salt. No, it's not that. It reminds us the key because it creates randomization, okay? But we call it salt, and it's there to strengthen the hash function protection, or you know, the overall security process of a hash function. Does that make sense, guys?
I have a question. If
sure,
if a hash needs eventually to you need to communicate the hash to show the message integrity.
Mm-hmm.
If you put anytime a different salt, then the hash changes.
Right, that's true. But both you and I agree on the salt. This is something that is changed, but we agree on it, much like the key.
Okay, so the salt is communicated between two sides as well.
Exactly. Okay. We agree on the function, and we agree on the salt. That's why I said it's not a key. It sounds like a key, okay? But it's not a key all the way, right? Because it's not encryption mechanism, right? It's just a function, all right? All right, cool. So let's talk about algorithms, cryptography algorithms. The first one that you're going to encounter in your book is DES, okay? DES is an ancient pre-1990s cryptography algorithm. No longer used, hacked pretty easily. We don't really care about the history of this. All we care about is that the fact that after they realized that DES cryptography algorithm was hacked, they started, instead of changing it, instead of switching to a whole different algorithm, what they did is that they tried to multiply it by itself. So they created double DES, and they realized that if they created double DES, now the result is even stronger than the result of the first. So it's not linear, it's exponential strength, right? So it's not 2 DES, it's this. This is 1 DES and this is 2 DES, okay? So they said, okay, 2 DES is strong enough. Well, guess what? It was hacked again. So they did, again, the same action. They took the 2 DES and they multiplied it by, again, another DES, okay? It's a process of the cryptography. It's the mechanism, it's the method of that algorithm. They multiplied it again, and they got even a stronger result, which is the triple DES. These days, today, the triple DES is not considered as secure as it was, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. Okay, but it's still being used. Not recommended, because the recommended algorithm for today's use is the AES. AES by the American government is by far the most recommended algorithm for encryption in commercial and in most of the market worldwide. We use that in Wi-Fi networks. We use it basically anywhere you can put your hands on. Today, we probably use AES to some degree. So AES has a key length of 128, 192, or 256 bits. Okay, the block size are of 128 bits, and you can see that here. And I hope that now by now you fully understand the meaning of key size and block size. Okay, so you can put those words in there. Another algorithm is the IDEA algorithm, okay? The IDEA, this is International Data Encryption Algorithm, and that one operates on 64-bit plaintext block, okay? So I can put in my plaintext in a 64-bit block size, okay? Each one of them is 64 bits, and it uses 128-bit key. That's a pretty long key, okay? That's not the longest, but that's a pretty long key. That's a good size of a key, 128, right? And then 2 other algorithms, which I want you to remember them together, okay? I want you to look at them and remember that the 1 fish comes before the 2 fish. Blowfish comes before the 2 fish, all right? Valentino, I get that you get what I'm saying, right? 1 comes before 2, right? These algorithms are invented by Bruce Schneier. If you're not familiar with him, then get familiarized with the guy. He's a great persona in information security. I have a book signed by him. I met him in 2012, I think, 2015. Sorry, I met him back there in California. Amazing guy, super smart. and he actually wrote those two algorithms. The first one, Blowfish, symmetrical algorithms, uses key sizes, very short key sizes, 32 to start with, but can scale up to 448 bits. So he relied basically on the length of the key to be the strong link of this algorithm. The block size of the message is 64-bit. Now, there were some suspicions that Blowfish is starting to get hacked. And since Bruce Schneier is part of the community of, white hat hackers and a super smart genius person, then he started working immediately as they were talking about, hacking the Blowfish. He started working immediately on the Twofish. Okay, the Twofish, he didn't invent that much time in the block size of the key. Still a long key, 128 to 256. It's pretty reasonable, but pretty long. But he invested now in the block size of the message itself. So the block size now is 128. That's double. That means that if I have larger block size, then my message is short, right? My communication is quick. Do you see that? If my block size messages are long, my communication is quick. I don't need to transfer large amount of communication, right? It's not block by block by block by block. Just one or two, boom, that's it. The message is out there, all right? And the key size, for that matter, that's the cost that we pay. The key size is now shorter, but not too short. 128 to 256, that's pretty long, still long. Not the 448 that we had before, all right?
You say that it's unbreakable. Why is it not used today?
No, it's used today. Blowfish and Twofish are used today with streaming videos and whatnot. Yes, they use that. They mainly use Twofish today. Okay.
Also in combination with a yes for disk encryption.
Yes. So
okay. So they don't use it, for example, in VPN, but for other.
Right. So one thing, thank you, Alan, for this, because this triggers a very important message that I need to, emphasize here. To get the maximum protection of cryptography, you never use single algorithm. It's always a combination of more than one, okay? And it's always a combination of at least two different mechanisms, either asymmetric and symmetric together, okay? So you want to have more than one algorithm used to get the maximum protection on your cryptography. All right, thank you, Alan. That was really, really important. And then we have RC4 mentioned in the, what's that?
I said you're welcome.
Thank you. So we have RC4 in our book, but RC4 is ancient and was hacked pretty easily. We also have RC5. RC5 is using block sizes of 32, 64, or 128. But look at the key size. The key size here is crazy. Can be a key size of 0 bits, okay? So just one character, but it can scale up to 2048. That's a huge key size, okay? And that's the protection it gets. Still, this one is not as used today as the Blowfish and Twofish that was mentioned before, and the AES, super popular. RSA is popular as well. All those are mentioned in your book. And again, I encourage you to go to that book and read further on each algorithm. But bear in mind that what you need for the exam, to pass the exam, you don't need to become a master in cryptography. You just need to understand the block size, the message, the key size. You need to understand the usage for this and whether it's symmetric or asymmetric. That's it, right? That's what you need to remember for the CISSP. Let's look at the public key cryptosystem or asymmetric cryptosystem. Let's start looking at those. So asymmetric cryptography key system means that we now have, if you may, bear with me for a second, because I know how it's presented out there, but I would like to take you through the real motion of the asymmetric crypto system and say, there is one key. That key is split into two. One part is public and one part is private. In your book and in your questions and in the industry in general, public key and private key are referred to as two different separate keys. In order for us to fully understand the mechanism behind asymmetric crypto system and public key infrastructure, we need to face the truth that this is part of the same key. So we have one key that is broken into two, okay? And I want you guys to remember this as you look at public and private, because one cannot exist without the other. One cannot be effective without it. It doesn't matter if it's the public or the private key, right? So the way it works is that, guys, if you're not asking a question, just put yourself on mute, please. So in order for this infrastructure to work, what we do is that first we detect the objective that we have here. So the objective that we have for using public key infrastructure or asymmetric cryptography key system is to share information. I would like you to write it down because this one here is a whiteboard, right? The objective here, the goal here, is to securely share. We have the green one, the sender, and we have the blue one, the receiver, all right? The sender wants to share information with the blue one, with the receiver. What they do before they share information is that they agree on the method, on the algorithm that they're going to use. Then each one of them takes the key, their own key, and breaks it into two. Okay, this is all done in the background. They don't need to physically do it. But their key is now broken into two. One part, the private key, they hold with themselves. All right, they don't give it to anyone out there. They just hold it to themselves. This is the most precious secret for them. The second part becomes a public information. Now, the reason behind them taking part of the key and making it public information is for others to be able to share with them securely information, right? So the goal behind the public key is to share securely information with me. All right, I want you to remember this because this is really, really important. They can ask you, what is the objective of PKI? The objective of PKI, using PKI, is to securely share information between sender and receiver. If we simply want to keep information secure and secret, we don't have to use public key infrastructure. We don't have to break our key into two. The only reason that is behind breaking this key into two and having one part of it public is because we want others to share information securely with us. Is this clear to everybody? Yeah, well, good. I only see Shachal's head. All right. No, I asked you to put on mute, but it's okay. But if I don't see you on video, then I don't get your reaction, and I don't see you agreeing to what I say. We're all good, Carlo?
Yes.
All right, great, thank you. Now, let's say I want to share information with you, Shachar. Both Shachar and I agree on the algorithm, let's say RSA, okay? That algorithm works in a certain way. The encryption and then the decryption. So if I'm to share information with Shachar now, I will enter at the entry point of the algorithm. My information will enter, right? Go through all the motion inside, and then the output will be mumbo jumbo message, ciphertext message sent to Shachar. But in order for Shachar to be able to be the only one to be able to open that message, I need to tag this piece of information, piece of mumbo jumbo, in a way that only Shachar will be able to address it. So what do? I add Shachar's public key. So only if you have Shachar's private key, you'll be able to open that box of information. And now Shachar knows to do the reverse process of decryption using RSA. All right, guys? And that's how Shachar now can get the plain text back in front of him. All right? Again, if I want to share information with Shachar, I will need to agree with Shachar on the mechanism, and I will need to add Shachar's public key. So only Shachar can open that box of information. All right? Now, if Shachar is not sure if the information came from me, because it says it came from Chen, but what if Valentino here intercepted the communication somewhere in the middle and manipulated the information to say, hey, Shachar, please send me $1 million, and signed it with his own key, but the key that he added is the public key of Shachar, right? Then what happens then? Shachar will get the message. It will say it got from Chen, and he knows that he and Chen shares a bank account, and he can now transfer $1 million to Chen, to this information, because it was signed by Chen. Okay, so it looks like it was signed by Chen. So everything is there. They're indicating that the process was initiated and signed by Chen. That's when we have our hash function. The hash function creates a message digest. Shachar, instead of just operating by the orders in the plaintext, right? What he does he takes that message and runs it through the same hash function that we previously agreed on, SHA-2, okay? And as he runs that message, if that message came out from me and was not tampered along the way, then he should get the same result as I did, and he will compare the results. If that message was accessed by Valentino, and Valentino opened and closed that message, now the message changed. Now the hash function result will be different. And that's how Shachar can know that someone tampered with the information, because the message digest, the result of a hash function is not the same. Okay? So for this part, we get confidentiality / privacy, authentication, integrity, and non-repudiation. Where do we find this non-repudiation? Since I was the one to sign the message with my own private key, I cannot say it wasn't me, because my private key is only with me. That's how the system works. So let's say your private key got lost, or was hacked, or was stolen from the bank. Your goal is to immediately report about it and have that key revoked, so no one else can use it. And this is done by trusted third parties. Okay? I know I'm kind of throwing a lot at you, but it's all under the same topic and the same process of the asymmetric crypto system. So is this process completely understandable for everyone? The components here, the key, the message digest, the plaintext, the ciphertext, encryption, decryption, hash function, the strength of the mechanism. Is this all clear?
Yes, senor.
Yeah, good. I'm happy to hear that because this one is probably one of the most important slides in your CISSP, along with the risk formula and one more that we will shortly see. There's one that is huge on domain 3, okay? This one is whiteboard. And the objective for this one, I repeat myself, the objective behind this one is to be able to securely share information between two parties. All right, we're all good? All right. Let's look at some of the public key crypto systems. We have RSA, we have El Gamal, we have elliptic curve. Each one of them has its own history. The book of the CISSP will tell you about the history. I don't want you to care about it. This is white noise. Okay, this slide here is not important for your CISSP. It's here because it's in your book. It's here because it's your white noise. It's here because I want you to remove it from your head. I don't want you to think about it. I don't want you to remember it. It's not important that RSA was developed in 1977. No one is going to ask you about it. Okay? So don't spend time on this. What you do need to spend time on is this mother lode of information. I want you to tattoo this on your right arm, right here. Tattoo this table, all right? Carve it in your brain. I don't know how, but I need you guys to master this table, all right? This is super important. I'm dead serious about this. This table, I got feedback from people around the world that were not even part of my bootcamp, and we'll have more of this later on, as we'll see. You know, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, I don't know, but we will see more slides like this that I shared on groups, on Facebook groups, on LinkedIn. I shared the slide. People from all over the world contacted me and said, this slide saved my domain 3. This slide saved my CISSP and I passed because it makes it easy. That's why, as you practice domain 3, I want you guys to have this table in front of you, much like the risk formula. I want you to memorize it because there's a lot of questions here, a lot. All right, maybe all, if not all, most of your domain 3 questions are here. All right, this is one slide. Let's look at it.
But we are still getting questions from the previous slide within the class maker from domain 3 as well.
Come again?
So actually, when I did the domain 3 questions,
yeah,
I had 2 or 3 questions regarding El Gamal and so with the other encryptions as well.
Hang on a second. I'm not saying you're not supposed to understand that there's such a thing as El Gamal, but you don't need to waste your time learning about their history. Okay? It doesn't matter. El Gamal was here before, and this year was RSA by these 3 partners. Don't care about it. I do care about what El Gamal is used for. Okay? And this is something I want you to know.
Got you.
So let's look at this. The table is divided into 2 columns and 6 rows. Right? That's not too bad to remember. Only 12 blocks here to remember. Only. Okay, but I want you to understand the logic behind it. So for asymmetric crypto system, we only have 6 algorithms. Okay, guys, it's very important. 6 algorithms, and that's it. If it's not in these 6 algorithms, then it's a symmetric crypto system. If it's not part of this 6, then it's symmetric. All right? And the 6 are, I want you to repeat, RSA, DSA, Come on, open your mics and repeat.
RSA, DSA.
I'm standing in front of you and asking you to repeat after me. RSA, DSA.
RSA, DSA.
Come on, you need to hear that. Jega, come on, tell them.
RSA, DSA.
Yes, all together. RSA, DSA.
RSA, DSA.
Now we move, after D comes E, right?
Yeah.
ECC, El Gamal.
SCC, El Gamal.
ECC, El Gamal, thank you. RSA, DSA. ECC, El Gamal. Come on.
RSA, DSA, ECC.
RSA, DSA.
It's like a pop song.
El Gamal.
Beautiful, El Gamal. Now we go back to D. Diffie Hellman and
Knapsack.
Knapsack. Knapsack. I want you to remember this. Knapsack. Okay? Again, repeat after me. RSA, DSA.
RSA, DSA.
ECC, El Gamal.
ECC, El Gamal.
Diffie Hellman and
Knapsack.
come on.
Diffie Hellman
and
and
Knapsack. Yes.
Knapsack.
Yes. Yes.
So,
This.
so funny story.
Yeah.
Knapsack. So you know you get wine inside like a bag.
Mm-hmm.
So in South Africa we call it a knapsack as well, because after you drank the wine you blow it up and you sleep on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, listen. I'm going to stop now, and this is part of the bootcamp, okay? So imagine me standing in front of you. Let's pick a victim. Jega,
Yes.
you're my victim now.
Yes.
Can you quote me from your memory the differences between threat and vulnerability?
Threat and vulnerability. Okay.
Yes. Just one sentence on each.
Yes, sure. So vulnerability is a flaw in the computer program which will allow hackers to.
Listen, man, you never heard me saying that. Whatever you heard from me. I need the Chem definition to threat and Chem's definition to vulnerability.
Can I say the meaning?
Nope.
Or exactly your phrase?
Nope. This will not help you in your CISSP, man. I want you to pass the CISSP. I don't want you to be right. I want you to pass.
Okay.
What is the characterism of a vulnerability and what is for threat? How do you characterize each? How do you define each? Somebody else wants to try and help? So let me ask you, Jega.
Yeah.
Let me give you this and you'll fill in the blanks. A vulnerability is always and the threat is always Come on, I know that you nodded when I said, does everybody understand this?
But now we feel stupid, you know?
A vulnerability is, listen, this is how it works. People pass the CISSP because we take this time, we spend this time to, exercise, train the brain. So Jega, work with me. A vulnerability is always under my control. Come on, say it.
Vulnerability is always under my control. Okay.
Always under my control. And a threat is always outside my control. Okay?
Okay.
That makes life easier. Right? A threat, I cannot control. Vulnerability, I can always control.
But a 0 day is not under your control unless
I agree with you.
You know it before.
I agree with you. And we mentioned that yesterday. 0 day is still a vulnerability. So what do we do about 0 day? Layered
security.
Exactly. Aaron, since you volunteered to be the next victim, I want you to quickly, you have 10 seconds to describe the risk formula to us. Come on.
The risk formula.
No.
I don't know. I don't know
Not opening the booklet now. You just say it from your memory.
I don't have it in my memory right now.
Okay, anybody else? Valentino, do you want to try?
I can try. So the risk formula is based on the amount of, so okay, I'll put it in my words. So the amount of investment you have, so assets, and then minus, no wait, hold on. So
No. Risk formula is R equals I times P. Do you remember that?
yeah, okay, yeah.
So
That's-
break it down for me.
Okay, wait.
R equals I times P. I can be quantitative or qualitative. P is threat times vulnerability. Threat is always outside my control. Vulnerability is under my control. And for vulnerabilities, we do administrative, technical, and physical controls. That's the risk formula.
Okay.
All right?
That's
your whiteboards.
I'll do the mathematics instead.
Listen, I need to control this, okay? Those whiteboards that I give you, they're super important for the exam. You have 3 hours, okay? You don't want to just sit there and feel like, yeah, oh my God, how can I be that stupid? You know, I don't remember these things. And it's so easy, it's in front of you. You don't need to be that smart, seriously. CISSP is hard. And only with these tips and tricks, you'll be able to deal with the whole material. Because nobody actually controls everything or knows everything. I don't know everything, but I know how to pass the exam. Okay, so I want you to pass the exam as well. Okay, Carlo, do you have the booklet in front of you?
Yes.
You do? Can you show it to us?
Sure.
Thank you. Keep holding it. Keep holding it. Now, can you state the asymmetric algorithms, please?
Asymmetric algorithms. So DCA, I got confused already.
There you go, man. This is what I want.
Yeah, I got confused already.
Come on, let's do it.
Diffie-Hellman, ECC, DCA, RSA, knapsack, and what did I miss?
El Jamal.
El Gamal.
Intel
El
Gamal,
Gamal.
yeah.
Shachan, can you state the 6?
Of course. RSA, DSA, ECC, El Jamal, Diffie-Hellman, Knapsack.
Nice. Perfect. This is what I want from you guys. All right? This is exactly what I want you to remember because there's a lot of questions about that. They will give you a question. PGP is considered symmetric or not. They will not ask symmetric. They will ask, is using single key or pre-shared key, yes or no? And you will need to know that since it's a symmetric, right? PGP is not part of the 6, right? So PGP is a symmetric algorithm, right? And since it's a symmetric algorithm, it uses a single key. Do you see that? It's easier to break. It's quicker. Which one of the following 4 options are quick crypto system mechanism? RSA, DSA, El-Gamal, or AES? Which one is quicker? AES. Why do you know that? Because you know the other 3 are asymmetric, and asymmetric are slow. Which one is more secure? Diffie-Hellman, AES, triple DES, or PGP?
AES.
No.
Diffie-Hellman.
Diffie-Hellman. Sorry, yeah, I got confused. But Diffie-Hellman, because you have the 6. Okay? So guys, really seriously, memorize those whiteboards. Okay? This is how we do it.
But we don't see blowfish and two fish here.
Oh, blowfish. Where is blowfish and two fish?
The symmetric.
Why is it symmetric?
We are not using 2 keys. We are using the same.
No, Jega, you're going too far, man.
Because it's not on the right side.
Why is it not asymmetric? I am dumb.
Because it's not on the right side of the table.
It's not part of the 6. All right, it's not part of the 6, so it's not asymmetric. Simple as that, Jega. All right, man?
Okay.
As simple as that. I'm not looking for the whole explanation. You know what? Somebody's making shitload of money on selling us these books. I can't stand that guy. I hate his guts. And that's why my way of getting back at them. You know, because they want your money. They want my money. But guess what? We're not going to give it to them. Because 4 out of 4 students passed the CISSP exam just this week because of this. That means that ISC assholes will never get your $700 again. They will see it once. And we will see to it together. All right? That's what I want from you guys. That's how strong I want you to be against them.
Well, technically, they'll still have your yearly fee.
What's that?
I say technically, they'll still have your yearly fee.
Yeah, but there's a difference between $35 or $50 and $700, you know? And you know what else, man? Once you all pass the exam, now I ask you to transfer that knowledge to others. Now you run a bootcamp. Now you help others not pay the $700 again. You know? Take this knowledge and transfer it to others. That's what we do. That's the beauty of this. Okay, that's the beauty of community. All right? Come on, people, let's do this. So the algorithms, we saw that's the 6. That's an important part of just remembering and preparing yourself for the exam. RSA, DSA, ECC, Elgamal, Diffie-Hellman, NAPSA. All right, that's the 6. Now, the keys. We are using the same key for 2 parties when we talk symmetric. When we have 2 parties in asymmetric, we use public and private. That's pretty obvious, right? We talked about that. The number of keys that we use are different. Since we are using the same key for each pair in symmetric, then our equation, and they will ask us, how many keys are used in AES algorithm? We need to remember n times n minus 1 divided by 2. So let's say we have 4 individuals, right? 4 individuals. Let me draw it on the whiteboard here for you. Hang on. Let me see. I think I have the whiteboard here. Where's that? Where's that? Where's that? How do we do whiteboard here?
Share content and then select whiteboard.
What's that?
Share content and then select whiteboard.
If you
Oh,
have
yeah.
it.
You're right. You're right. Shared content and whiteboard. You're right. Thank you. Takes forever, man. Woo! Why does it take forever like that?
Chen, while we're waiting for the whiteboard, can you please describe knapsack for nutshells in a nutshell?
The what? Come again?
Knapsack, the last or the 6th asymmetric algorithm.
What?
Do you hear me?
Come again? What? Describe what?
Can you please describe knapsack, the 6th algorithm?
Oh, describe what? Their functions?
How it's working? Yes, I never heard about it before. I never met it before. I know about knapsack problem, but it's different thing.
Great. So, Alan, this will be a great opportunity to elaborate with the book. This is why I encourage you to go to the book, because we can dig deeper into each one of them. But again, I think I covered the most important parts. RSA, you're all familiar with, and DSA, I hope you're familiar with. ECC is the distance from the curve of an elliptic figure. For some reason, I cannot put up the whiteboard. I don't know why, but let's say that, you know, let's try and work with this as is. but I encourage you to go online and look up for some more information on knapsack. I can send you all. You know what? Let me share something with you on Diffie-Hellman, something that will probably give you a better idea of how.
I know about RSA, DSA, and Diffie-Hellman and the rest. I heard about Gamal in the past, but about knapsack I never heard. I heard about knapsack problem in a mathematic lecture, but it's a totally different thing, I think.
Yeah.
I will read about it in the book later.
I'm not going to elaborate on this because it's not.
It's okay.
It's not something we want to cover here, but I do want you to, on your free time, again, you're not going to spend time on each one of them, but I do want you to take a look at this. I'm sending you on the chat, the meeting chat, a link to a YouTube explanation about Diffie-Hellman. This will give you the idea, the main idea behind not just Diffie-Hellman, but PKI in general. Okay, so going back to the number of keys. For symmetric keys, say we have 4 parties that would like to communicate. So between each one of them, we have 1 key. So we connect the 4, we now have 4 keys, right? But we also have 1 talking in the contract side, the lower side here, the lower side here. So we have 2 more. This will give us 6 keys, okay? So the 6 keys are a result of this 4 times n minus 3, which is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Divided by 2 gives us 6, okay? And for asymmetric keys, we simply multiply the n, the number of participants, okay, by 2, because each one of them has 2 keys, right? 1 public, 1 private, right? So this is, again, a number of questions that can be on that one, the number of keys. Now, let's look at the areas that ISC are trying to mess up with us. And again, we don't like them. We want to beat them, okay? So let's see how they are planning to beat us. They use the word, the phrase private key crypto system, this one up here. They use the words private key crypto systems to describe symmetric crypto system. Now, when they write it in a question, it triggers in your mind PKI. And you immediately look at the asymmetric, okay? Now, I would like you to emphasize, to just mark the words private key in your presentation. And remember that private key is symmetric crypto system. Public key infrastructure is asymmetric. All right? So the name they give that method can be private key crypto system, and they refer to symmetric crypto system. Okay? And they will ask you, how many keys do we have for 4 participants in a private key crypto system? You will need to know to go to this equation, okay, the n times n minus 1 divided by 2 to get your answers right. Or if you get it wrong and you go to PKI, you go to public key infrastructure, number that 4 times 2, one of the answers will be 8, just to make you fail. Okay? So pay good attention to this. PKI is not private key, it's public key crypto system. Now, do you remember the pain that we started with? The word PAIN stands for privacy / confidentiality, right? Authentication, integrity, and non-repudiation. PAIN can only be achieved with asymmetric crypto system. Please write it down. Pain can only be achieved with asymmetric cryptosystem. Jega, you're not writing down? Oh, you are? Oh, sorry, man, sorry. I see you're sitting there and you're like so comfortable and all.
I'm writing it down. Everything.
So pain can only be achieved with asymmetric cryptosystem. That leaves us with only privacy for symmetric. Symmetric equal only privacy. If you want to protect your information, your confidentiality of information, you want to protect your information from being disclosed, you can use asymmetric and symmetric cryptosystem. But if you want to protect the integrity of your information so no one else can tamper with your information, and if they do, you will know about this, you can only get that from asymmetric cryptosystem. And the 6 asymmetric algorithms in CISSP are RSA, DSA, LGAMAL, ECC, Diffie-Hellman, and NAPSA. All right? We're all cool?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. This is very important. A lot of questions are on this slide, okay? So this will be one of your keys to pass domain 3 pretty easily, now that we understand the full picture here. All right. We're going to take a break in like 20 minutes. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay with you? Yeah? All right. 15 minutes. We'll take a break. So let's talk a little bit about PKI and PKI asymmetric cryptographic applications. Where do we apply this cryptographic systems? So we talked about the digital signatures, and we said that the digital signatures can provide me with authentication and integrity. So this is basically repeating ourselves and repeating the message, the example that was mentioned before of how the message digest is helping us provide integrity. So we want to digitally sign the message so the receiver can verify our digital signature to make sure that it actually came from us. The information was not tampered with, okay? So again, the digital signature is used to provide integrity. Now, another key for PKI, for private key infrastructure, is the whole hierarchy between different servers and different authorities that are there to create trust. So PKI is big. Its whole purpose, its foundation is trust between parties. So say me and Shachar, we've never met, we don't know each other, right? And that's something that you can actually watch in the YouTube movie that I shared with you. We've never met, we don't know each other, but we know that we want to exchange information securely. So say Shachar is my bank. He doesn't know me, he just knows of me. So how do we create this trust between us? We need now a third party to verify each identity of us to the other, okay? So we create certificates, and those certificates are designed to act as a trusted verification mechanism of each party in the eyes of the other. So when we use certificates, we will need to use certificate authority. Some other party, third party, to issue a certificate for both Shachar and me, or just Shachar for that matter. And then when Shachar shares information with me, I go to the CA and ask that CA, hey, do you know Shachar? Is he okay? Can he be trusted with this certificate that you issue to him? And then if the answer is yes, then I know that I can actually trust Shachar and receive information from him and rely on that information. So the digital signature standards refers to the asymmetric algorithm systems that was previously mentioned, and all this together creates that basic trust that we need between the two parties. Again, going back to the example that I mentioned before, that when Shachar and I communicate and we each one of us use that message digest to create more trust with the other party. So I use my message digest created on my side using the hash function, and then Shachar on his side is doing the reverse action. Okay, so he's doing the opposite. He compares the two message digests, and if the results is identical, then it's authentic. The signature is authentic. That's how we achieve authentication. The crypto application usage can be found in emails, in web, and in network. Tomorrow we will cover domain 4, which is network security. And when we talk about IPsec, we will talk about that channel that is created to protect that ball of information, data, that we encrypt with other crypto systems. So for emails and for web, and you probably know and are familiar with those different systems and different applications that we use. So looking at the PKI in general, again, from that hierarchy point of view, we have the CA, we have the ORA, Organization Registration Authority, and we have that validation process between the parties. We also have what we call certificate revocation lists. That's CRLs. Those lists are for certifications that are not in use anymore. Their owners think that they were compromised, or the issuer think that they were compromised, and now the hierarchy tells us the story that we can no longer use that certificate. That certificate is in CRL and we can no longer use it. Because of that trust, it takes time for all pyramid to be updated with this information, okay? So those servers actually speak with each other, and the more they know each other, the longer they work together, the more trust they have between one another, okay? This trust is the asset of those servers, is the main asset of those servers, because they now become the trusted entity to sign messages, super secret messages out there. So think of it this way. If someone would hack a CA, a very reputable CA of a large company, they can now achieve a lot more than just hacking a system. They now control a business process based on trust. And this actually took place not long ago with Google CA. Google CA was hacked, I think a couple of years ago. You can read about it. And Google had to remove the CA from the hierarchy and report on all certificates and keys that were issued with that CA and revoke all the information that was trusted by that CA. And this was massive in the industry of digital certificates, because that CA included a lot of information and could have done a lot of actions on certificates, on that trust, okay? So when you look at the actions that each CA can actually take and conduct and execute, you can see that it can create, it can register, it can revoke, it can set expiration date for certificates, because we don't want to trust them for good forever. And this information includes a lot more than just the name of the organization. It includes information of the organization, demographic information, validity period, again, the expiration date, and also the signature by that CA. Managing the keys, okay, in PKI is much like managing the certificates. Again, keys are created and being trusted there, and also can be revoked or can be destroyed by that entity. Now, if we cannot use those CRLs, if we cannot use those to quickly give us the answer if that information is there, then we can use the OCSP, okay, the Online Certificate Status Protocol, to get a quicker response on whether that certificate can be trusted, yes or no. If that takes a long time, and mostly you will find this with developer teams, okay, when they say, this is a quick transaction, I need a quicker answer. So you use the OCSP to get quicker answer instead of going through the CA and the whole process of trusting and so on. This is a vulnerability by itself for the CISO, and it can cause a pretty good headache for CISOs in the industry. Transport encryption, again, using that mechanism of trust. The A and B wants to transmit information between them, so they open a channel of communication which they secure based on an algorithm that gives them enough security to transfer data on. Okay, this is mostly done with VPN, virtual private network. Okay, we also refer to it as end-to-end protection or end-to-end encryption if that channel can be set between the two parties. And for those, we have protocols such as this SSL and TLS. And what you need to remember is that the TLS is the actual new version of the SSL. Okay, the TLS is considered as SSL 3.0. Today, we do have TLS 1.3. However, in the CISSP, they currently refer to 1.2 as the strongest one. If you get a question of TLS 1.3, go with the 1.3. In any other situation, the strongest TLS protocol you can use is 1.2, right? Simply because that's how the CISSP works. The IPsec is basically creating a tunnel which we can then transfer information on. We can use that tunnel. So for that IPsec, we need to use two protocols. AH protects the entire packet including the headers of the information, and it provides authentication and integrity, but it provides no confidentiality. That's the AH, okay? The ESP protects the payloads alone, so just the message, that's just inside. But this one provides confidentiality, integrity, and authentication. The combination of the two, okay, the protection of the channel and protection of the data inside the channel gives the IPsec the ability to be very, very strong encryption and very common today, used by most organizations for remote work. We see that more and more with this COVID-19, and I can expect questions for you in your CISSP, describing that you're the CISO of this and that organization, and now your organization is forced to work remotely. What will be the ideal protocol to use or method to use in order for all employees to work securely from home? IPsec is definitely a good choice for that matter, right? So if all fail in that area, then we want to probably have some sort of a backup plan. If we cannot trust our keys, or if we lose the keys, or if something happens along the way, we don't want to just lose transactions. That's why we have PFS, the perfect forward secrecy. Perfect forward secrecy is used as we use key 1 to generate key 2, okay? And if key 1 is compromised, then that key 2 that was generated is still secure, and using PFS helps us not redo or remake the whole infrastructure of PKI. We still can use the infrastructure simply because we have some sort of a backup plan. Still, when keys are being compromised, the first thing you want to do is replace them. But sometimes the business, banks and financial institutes, for example, they cannot replace the keys easily. The business days, that's when they use PFS, okay? SSH is another method of using secure channel for communication. This one is used mainly for transmitting execution or execute actions between machines. So I can log in to a machine using SSH, and that channel is now secured, and I can transmit execution commands between my machine and the remote machine, and have the remote machine do things for me. However, looking at the history of this, where it came from, back then we used Telnet, we used FTP to transfer files. These were not secured channels between the two parties. That's when the need of SSH grew, and then, past few years, this is the best method to use by communicating with two parties and giving execution commands between the two. This uses port 22, and again, tomorrow, domain 4, we will address that as well. Every domain, every chapter, in your book will end with attacks, will end with the map of threats. So we learned about this control, wonderful control called cryptography and PKI and whatnot, but now we need to understand what we are facing, the threats we are facing. The controls control the vulnerabilities against the threats, okay? So the exploitation is between the threat and vulnerability. So when we use those controls on our vulnerability, sorry about the dogs, I'm gonna kill the neighbor's dog after this. Do you hear them?
Yeah.
You did hear them, right? Oh my God, I'm so sorry about that. So
don't kill it, just feed it well.
What's that?
Don't kill it, just feed it well.
I think I'm gonna give it some chocolate mixed with tomato. Right? That's a killer, right? That's gonna kill it.
With Tabasco, right?
With Tabasco.
Rat poison also works, eh?
With Tabasco. Yeah, that's gonna be good. So this is the map of threats you need to consider when you think about encryption and PKI. Okay, so brute force attack, you want to be able to realize that you are under brute force attack and someone is trying to hack your cryptographic keys or cryptographic mechanism. Okay, man in the middle, and we mentioned that someone hacking in the middle and tampering or eavesdropping on your communication. You want to simply encrypt the entire channel of communication. Birthday attacks, we mentioned that before. And last but not least for this chapter is the DRM. For some reason, ISC chose to put DRM here in chapter 7. Not related to a lot, but is a good control to consider. DRM is digital right management system. Okay, it's basically a system that says, I'm going to share information with you for this much period of time. This is the length of time that I'm going to share information with you. And within a week or within a month, I can also control what you do with the information. So you can read the information, but you cannot copy it. And if you copy it, you cannot modify it. Okay. So DRM helps us control the information that we share with others. I can see the relation to cryptography, because cryptography and PKI, emphasizing PKI, is all about sharing information. And DRM uses mechanisms, most likely mechanisms like cryptography, to control the data out there. Okay, so with this part, we're going to take a break. Let's take a 20-minute break and be back here at quarter to 4 your time. All right.
Okay.
Good?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. See you soon.
See you now.
Bye bye.